welcome. It is your coach, Carla Nicole. So, I just had a very, very good live on my Substack. So, if you want to listen a little bit about what I shared on my Substack this evening, I will share the link in the bio so that you can go over there and watch it. It was pretty dynamic what I kind of shared. I didn't know I was going to go through that particular loop, but I did. So it is what it is. Happy Sunday, everyone. It's your coach, Carla Nicole. I'm so glad you're here. And because I was moved to do this live today, I wanted to make sure that I invited you into a conversation that I don't think we have enough about. We don't talk enough, I don't think, about our actual soul allure love capacity. We just don't. We usually talk a lot about wanting relationships, what type we want. We talk about our exes and how things didn't work out. And I get all that. We have our conversations. But tonight I want to talk about something a little bit different. We oftentimes don't talk about this, and I think we should. And it is, what is our love capacity? Like, how do we know if our relationship that we're in, how do we actually know that this person is going to be the person that is really one that keeps us, coming back, keeps us wanting to stay with them? I mean, we really need to ask that question. I don't think we ask enough. So I want us to just think about, what is my capacity in my affairs? Like, how is it that I get, I don't know, more comfortable in some soul allure affairs I'm in? And how do I feel a little more restrictive, or a lot more combative, or more angry, or frustrated, or mad, or I don't have time for this? We lose patience, right? How come in some relationships we go the long haul, and in others we get more frustrated by, I don't know, I kind of want to be here for a while? So what is that? What is that keeps us wanting to be with someone? How do we continue to feel like, yes, this person I can go the long haul with, and then there's others like, oh no, I can't do this. You're just way too much, or you're not enough, and I can't do it. What is that makes us think about this? And I think it's important. A lot of times we aren't honest. There's something on my lip. We aren't honest about what frustrates us in our relationships, and then what keeps us coming back and staying longer for the long haul. What is that? So I actually define it as our soul allure capacity. So how I explain it and describe it to help you guys to kind of get an idea is, imagine that you are in a relationship. Now, you can be in a single relationship, or you can be in a multiple relationship. Whatever type of relationship you're in is fine. But you singly, with each lover you're with, I describe it as a rubber band around the waist of the two of you. Why do I use a rubber band? Well, it helps it to kind of give you the picture, okay? In some love affairs, and we'll be honest, because I'm very honest, I'm very upfront about my own personal experiences and what I've went through. Some love affairs I've had, I tend to have a lot more leniency, grace, patience, time with them. I usually have a little more okayness in their in the relationship, so I don't get too flustered too quick. Yeah. So I would say that it's more of a thinner rubber band. I know that seems weird. Like, why would the band be thinner? Well, think about it. Let's go back to the rubber band. When you have a rubber band and it's kind of thin, it has more expansion to stretch. When you have the thick band, it's thick, so it's restrictive. So when you want to pull it, it's just doing like this. This is why it's too thick. So I say the rubber band that's a little bit more lenient, a little more what, not as combative, is the ones that have a little more stretch to them, right? Well, this is what I call the actual soul allure. This is what helps us to stay. Oh, this is what keeps me coming back. This is what keeps me giving more time, energy, effort, care, soul allure. Yes, that's what helps us. So when you're looking at the actual structure of a relationship, you'll see that inside of that relationship, we actually find ourselves more moved to be more open and honest and okay in certain flares and relationships. It's not by accident. Because, are you ready? Buckle up, because you know I always tease you guys, buckle up, because this is where it gets funky. We're going to buckle up our seatbelt and make sure it's locked. Because here's where it gets cute. Our soul allure and how we have a certain level of capacity for our lovers comes from the capacity we have for ourselves. Now, I know you're thinking, what in the God blessed name are you talking about? But hear me out. When we have patience with us, who we are inside, how we treat ourselves, our inner dialogue, how we're conversating with self, how patient we are, what we say to ourselves in private, that all applies to our love affairs. Because the first affair you have is the one with you. So when you're very kind to you, when you're very patient with yourself, when you make errors or mistakes or you don't do right, and you allow yourself time to come up with resolutions and come up with a better, outcome, then what happens is you start to get a little more reserved in getting so upset at yourself. That is important, because if you're not cognizant of that, a lot of times you're getting upset, and yes, we get upset, but we're not thinking about the fact that the way we get upset with self is exactly and identical to how we get upset with someone else. So, with that said, we want to understand that the soul allure capacity comes from how you are in your soul by yourself, to yourself first. That's the soul allure. Your soul allure starts with you first. Now, when you get involved with your new lover or your lovers, listen, I have no bias. If you have more than one or you are with one, each lover that you are with, if you're with one or with different ones, it's you and that lover and that band wrapped around your waist. I call it a rubber band, okay? So some of them are thin, some of them are thick. The thicker the rubber band around your waist is the tolerance level that you have with your relationship. So what does that mean? Well, if we look at the rubber band, and if we're honest, some of our lovers can get a lot more leeway and has a lot more give, to where they can have errors, they can make mistakes, they can get combative, they can say things that others can't. We give them a lot of grace. So that one has a lot more give. Really. Check this out. I said they had that particular lover has a lot more give in the band. That also applies to the give that you put inside of the relationship. What you give and what you forgive in the relationship. This is why the band around the waist matters, because the band around the waist is the way you love you, and the way you love you is the way you love your lover. Now, depending upon how you feel, how you guys interact, what's your resonance? Resonance meaning when you guys have a one-on-one time, or when you're on the phone, or when you have, are you constantly combative with each other? Are you constantly irritated by each other? Are you irritated by each other's space? Do you get agitated by them? You don't have time for this and you don't want to be around them? That is because that particular relationship has a thicker rubber band around it and has less, check this out, less give inside of it, which also means it has less forgiveness inside of it. Also, when you try to pull a band that's thick and tight, it does this. What is that doing? It's fighting up against. It's causing pressure, anger, frustration, confusion, misunderstanding. That's why, because your solar lore capacity is not as long as the other. So therefore, because it's not as long, it's causing for there to be more of a combative anger, quicker to temper energy inside of it. So that's why, again, when you learn about your actual love capacity or your solar lore with each other, you start to realizing, okay, this is why I seem to not feel as patient. I don't feel as graceful with my allowances in this relationship. That's why, because you don't have the solar lore, you don't have the type of resonance, you don't have that type of rapport with each other to where it's a fluid type of affair. And so when you don't seem to get along outside of the bedroom, yes, you know I'm going to go there, then what makes you think that inside of the bedroom it's going to be great and happiness? It could be lustful, it could be pleasurable, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's in rhythm. It doesn't mean that it's really giving you life. So, with that said, that's a lot of times why in relationships, even if you're combative, you can still have decent sex, but it doesn't mean that you have decent solar lore capacity. So sometimes you'll find that if you think back on where you were in your heart, mind, and soul of how you treated you in the past, you'll realize that you could have had a wonderful sex life with someone, but the relationship, it was not good. It was very combative. It was very off and on again. It was back and forth. It was not really with a high regard, and because of that, it caused to be so much headache, so much aggravation, because of the fact that you were in a relationship like you were. You didn't realize that that was frustrating, but it really was. It was frustrating because you wanted a relationship where you could enjoy each other, but for some reason you guys didn't. And this is why I always say we can't get caught up in getting overly excited about how great the lovemaking is, because lovemaking is just a part of it, it's not all of it. And oftentimes we only make love anywhere between 10 to 20% of the time. So if that's the only time it's good, then, that's a whole nother lie for another day. But I'm saying that's why a lot of times we'll base upon our relationship how great the lovemaking is as to why we should stay together. And oftentimes it's not a good idea. But again, that's for another day. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. So in the soul allure, the rubber band effect, we often see that we really want a relationship that's going to be solid and fulfilling, but we're not finding that to be the case, because again, it starts with you first. Are you We got to start with you. I know it's always often so crazy to me how many people look at me like, why you say that, coach? Why? I mean, what do you mean? Well, you go with you no matter what relationship you're in. So we have to think about how you treat you in your quiet time, in your private time, in your space, in your headspace. What are you thinking about? How are you studying yourself? Are you very patient with you, or do you find yourself very frustrated easily by what you're not doing? So I notice sometimes we can be the worst critic in the world to self. Oh, I mean, we just got nothing done today. We're not good at this. We're bad at that. We hate this about ourselves. And that oftentimes causes for us to feel so down that if we do have any energy towards gifting or giving time and energy and excitement and allure to our lover, it usually comes from, you know, the embankment of not being something that is fruitful. Is coming from our depletion. So we're already feeling not where we really need to be because we're still saddened by what we don't have. but we'll give to our lover because we're usually just happy to have a relationship. But are we happy to be who we are? And a lot of times we're not. We're struggling with that part. So I'm often saying, if you want a relationship, before it even gets here, it's vitally important you do this first. But a lot of times we end up not doing it because it takes a lot of work to take time to spend time with self and study ourselves and see what it is we want, what we need. So a lot of times it's after the fact. But we'll just say for conversation purposes that tonight we're going to do it before we get involved with someone. And if that's the case, please say, yes, this is me. I'm going to do better. Let me know. And then let's talk about, how do we do this? First off, we have to look at, how are we taking care of self? And this is the challenge right here alone. Taking care of you. How do you do this? How do you really take care of yourself? We don't really think about this part as being major for having a long-term relationship. But that's the longest relationship you're going to ever have, is the one with yourself. You were here with you when you were born, and you will be here with you until you transition. So again, we will be with us for life, for real. I mean, that's the real, true, honest, committed love affair we have, is with ourselves. So how many times do we really spend time with really getting to know what we need? Do we actually ask ourselves the serious questions? So I got a couple questions here that I wanted to ask. So let me put it up to you. I think someone had asked, what is the love capacity that you really desire? So ask yourself that. What is my love capacity I really desire? Well, it gets to a point where you want to sit back and look at, if I really truly have a desire to be with someone that I really care about, will I be in that space for that person long term? And we don't know until we really start to indulge and be involved in the relationship. Again, we can't skip over how we treat ourselves, but again, we oftentimes do. So when you're looking at the relationship, you're saying, well, okay, this person I tend to give and go the extra mile for. Why? What is it about this particular person you'll go the extra mile for, but another person you won't, because you just don't have the patience? They irritate you. They're not really in the same mindset as you. You can't really vibe and have the same, you can't even be on the same wavelength because it's constantly some BS going on. These are the kind of things you want to pretty much gauge before you get into a full-term soul allure relationship with someone, so that you can stop and listen to your soul and pay attention. Is this person really for me? Or is this person not necessarily for me, but someone I enjoy spending time with? Because not everyone is going to be with you until you transition. Some people will be here just for a time, just for a segment of time and space. It doesn't mean that's a bad thing. It just means that's what it is. It's reality. So in order to understand that, we need to know, well, are we in a capacity to where I don't feel easily irritated, easily triggered by every little thing you do? Because if that's the case, you and I have a thick band around our waist and have very little give in this relationship. And when we don't have a lot to give, oftentimes we have a lot to take. And that's just not, it's just not good. And then when we're taking and pulling and just arguing about God knows what and God knows why, this is why. Because the relationship isn't based off of a actually balanced soul allure. And when you don't have a strong soul allure for each other, we oftentimes get really frustrated and flustered by what it is we want and what it is we don't want. So again, it comes to a point where we get to that point where, is this really good for me? Next question is, can you receive someone else's soul allure for you? Can you receive that? That's the question. Only you can answer. Can you receive it if someone has the soul allure for you? That comes down to, if you have a soul allure for that person. And in the soul allure, you're moved to receive. Not everybody's going to move you to receive it from them. So you have to be honest with you. Again, this is a part of your soul study. Knowing, is this when someone is moved by me or wants to be with me or is attracted to me or seems to tell me that they want to be with me, does that really move me to want to go to the next level with them? Or no, not really. If there's a no, not really, be honest with you, and in the midst of it, know how to handle it from there. Now, this is why I say it's a kind of a conversation we don't have, because a lot of times we don't want to talk about the fact that when someone's attracted or wants more from us than we want to give, we don't talk about this. We just kind of either brush them off or we ghost them. Or we'll tell them in a way that they either accept it, or we'll tell them in a way that is really combative to where they don't even want to deal with us anyway. So it comes a point where we have to look at self and know that. You got to be honest with you. So again, if you're involved with someone and they're not really your type, or you're not really able to receive their soul allure for you, be honest with yourself first. And then depending upon where you're at in your soul season that you're in, if you really don't feel like you want to be with this person but this person wants to be with you, um we don't always have to just ghost the person. We don't actually have to just be combative towards them. There is a way to say it without being nasty, but actually sometimes you have to be more straightforward than maybe you wish to be. Because sometimes when someone wants you for them, they don't care if you want them for you. They just care about them wanting you for them. And sometimes you have to be like, look, that's not what it is. And this is why a lot of times there's confusion, there's misunderstandings, and then there's also oftentimes people get overly, combative towards you because they want you to want them. And that could be, but at this point, if that's not what it is, then you want to be honest with yourself first, because that way, when you're honest with you, you can let them know it's just not that for me with you. So ask yourself if there is someone that you're interested in, if there is a couple of them that you're dealing with, and you just don't see it going any farther than what it is, and you're starting to feel in your soul and spirit that this person is wanting to take it to the next level, if you know what I mean, then you need to try to make sure that you're aware of that. Pay attention to everything. Don't miss nothing. In other words, you want to be extremely focused on what is their motive behind wanting to be with you. And then understanding they want to be with you, but you may not feel the same. So what do you do with this? How do you handle it? Well, that's where it gets fun. So oftentimes when we are not really into someone and they're into us, we have to be honest about this. This is not easy to do. We have to be honest about um attractions are what they are. And it doesn't matter your relationship status either. So sometimes you can be in a relationship, or you can be in a partnership, you could be married. It doesn't matter your status of relationship. Trust me, it doesn't. Um, and someone can find themselves attracted to you or wanting to be with you or whatever. And at that point, you just need to be honest with you. You don't even have to answer them right away if they say that they want to be with you or whatever. Just hear them out, listen. And then if they're looking at you like, well, where are you at? Or how do you feel? Or they do come to ask you, stand on what you stand on by understanding, this just isn't me. I enjoy our time and space together, but I'm not looking for a long-term relationship. Or you can say, I'm not looking for that, or, you and I are good, but we're not that to each other. There's ways you can say it without saying it in a nasty way, but sometimes you got to get direct because they don't care if you want them or not. And then you're like, wait a minute. I understand you want me. I get it. But It's not a mutual thing. Now, remember I don't think you remember. You guys weren't there. I was doing my Substack earlier live, and I was talking about to them about, hey, you remember when there's laws and principles on the planet, right? Well, there's a law of reciprocity. I'm going to say that again for those in the back. There's a law of reciprocity. So if you have feelings for someone and it's not really matching the same as yours for them as them to you, you don't have to take offense. Just know that's what it is. And then handle it accordingly. What I mean by that is not everybody's going to be on the same level of allure as you are for them all the time. Sometimes it can change. So, because there could be a change or a difference, significant difference, then you want to move accordingly. That doesn't mean to take it, like I said, don't be offended. Don't take it personally. Don't feel a way about it. Just understand sometimes you're not that to them, even though they are that to you. And again, this is where it gets challenging because we want to have relationships, right? We want to have a good time. We want to enjoy what we're doing. But when we try to, I call it put what you have in a pressure cooker, um, and it's really not on the same law of reciprocity. You're not on the same wavelength with what you both wanting the same type of status, then we start to get frustrated. Now, here's the deal. I want you to pay attention to this. The law of reciprocity is very important to know, but it's also good to notice and pay attention to, because here's what's deep. You can really be involved with someone for a long time, and they just don't see you as that to them. So you may have dreams and hopes and wishes that you're going to be this or that, and we're going to do this and this, and they're just good with what you are. And you're frustrated because you're like, what does this mean? Why are you not trying to be with me like that? Well, it's because in your heart, soul, and mind, you have a different solar lore capacity, which means you have a more admiration for them, that you're wanting to do more with them. You're wanting to go to another level with them. Now, here's the deal. Remember, I called it the pressure cooker. Well, whenever you're in a connection, and that's what like I said, you're in front of them, they're in front of you, and you have the rubber band around your waist, I always call that the rubber band effect. But in this particular topic right here for solar lore, I want you to think about that. That rubber band that's around your waist that's connecting the two of you, right? It's always there. Sometimes one is trying to place your connection inside of a pressure cooker. What does that mean? That means it's trying to, one of you are trying to put a label on it. You're trying to define it. You're trying to get married. You're trying to have a live-in arrangement. You're trying to be considered each other's, or whatever you want to call it. So now when you're putting your connection into a pressure cooker, now that's when the pressure gets a little bit different, because now we're in a position where the connection that's normally just in a flow is now being pressured by the confines, by the label, by the definition. And it gets a little sticky because we as people want to have what we want to have. But if we're not on the same page, then we're ending up feeling away because we don't like it that the other person isn't feeling the same way or doesn't want it the same way we want it. So here's what's important. Ask yourself honestly, not based upon feelings, not based upon what you're wanting, not based upon your fantasy, but based upon reality. Does this person that you're involved with, do they really want to be with you in that way? Whatever that way is. I don't know. I'm just saying it as an example so you could fill in the blanks of what I'm saying. Do they have the same level of allure for you? Are they wanting you in that same way? If they do, then fine. If they don't, well, then there's some adjustments that need to be made. And the adjustments don't have to be abrupt. They can just be on a different focus. You can learn how to pull back when you see someone is not trying to be that to you, and just relax it. And then allow it to be whatever it's going to be. When you have a connection and the rubber band is around your waist, the rubber band is there. You just don't want to put it in a pressure cooker and try to define it, and that's not the same level of allure they have for you that you have for them. So fine, it doesn't mean you have to get offended or feel away. Just know it, and in that knowledge of it, again, this comes from soul studying. When you know it for real, because it doesn't take hard, it's not hard to figure out this person really isn't that into you. When you realize it, say, oh, okay, they're just not that into me. It doesn't mean that I'm not a quality woman. It doesn't mean I'm not a quality dude. It doesn't mean I'm not for someone to be with. This just isn't it for what I'm trying to do. This isn't it. And that's fine too, but don't take offense. Just know that's what it is. When you understand these little things, this helps you to get beyond feeling a way about what you don't have and learning about what you do have. Because again, it's a law. It's a universal law. Law of reciprocity. When you are with someone and they want to be there, then it's not going to be a lot of back and forth. It's not going to be a lot of ghosting, a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of I don't understand you and you don't understand me. All of that is null and void, because when there's a reciprocity, there's an engagement. I'm not talking about a wedding engagement. I'm talking about engagement with each other. You actually engage. You have a care for that person. That person has a care for you. You have an interest. They have an interest, and you have a understanding. Okay, so understand in that. Understand in that you actually have an understanding of each other. And in doing this really helps a lot, because we get to the point where we get frustrated. We can actually evolve a relationship by not putting the relationship in a pressure cooker. I'm going to say that again. We can improve the way we are in a connection with someone without putting it in a pressure cooker, because we're allowing it to evolve to what it is without trying to make it what we want it to be. Okay? So it's very simple, it's very honorable to do this, to where you can say, hey, I don't need anything from you. I'm not trying to force anything. I'm just here because I want to be. And if that person's like, likewise, then you already have it. You don't have to force it. You don't have to put it in a pressure cooker. You don't have to try to define it. Just allow it to grow on its own. Because what happens when you allow it to evolve? 9 times out of 10, you get way more than you would have gotten trying to put it in that pressure cooker to hurry up what you want to happen to happen. Very simple. You could just relax all of that and learn about the laws and principles, universal laws and principles, because it makes it so much easier to understand. When you understand the law of nature, the law of reciprocity, the polar opposites and all of these things are very easy to understand, but they're vitally important to understand when you're talking about solar lore and wanting a relationship. Relationships evolve as long as you two have an understanding, and as long as you're engaging with each other and wanting to have certain things to come as it will, to where it shows you the strength of the rubber band connection you're in. You understand that rubber band, like I said, if it's stretchy, you're giving a lot. You're giving a lot. And so is the other. And so there's a give and a taking and a giving and a taking. And it's a really powerful evolution, because it's not constantly combative. When it's a tight band and you're trying to pull and the other one's pulling as well, but it doesn't have it has a strength, but it doesn't have any type of give about each other. You're just taking, and then you're combative. That's why a lot of times when you have that thick band around your love affair, you end up finding it snaps quick. And so do you and your attitude. So does the mouth go. So does his attitude happen. All of these things happen because we are inside each relationship, regardless of if we evolve it or not. The connection will show us how much capacity we have for someone. And sometimes it's a little bit too much, if you know what I mean. And not only is it too much, it's just a lot because we're trying to make it something rather than just allowing it to become what it is. I'm just saying. So, be sure to subscribe to the channel, share this video. Don't forget to watch this again because a lot of information has been given on this, and it's not hard to understand. It's just when we don't talk about it enough that relationships require a lot of patience. It also requires some understanding, forgiveness, and it also requires for us to be heartfelt in how we treat ourselves. We oftentimes are wanting a relationship and we're wanting that relationship to have a lover to well treat us, but we don't treat ourselves well. And then when our lover treats us well, a lot of times we'll be like, oh my God, I don't know how to accept that well treatment. I don't know what that is. That's because you don't treat yourself well behind closed doors or in your quiet thoughts. And because of that, it shows up in the relationships. Unfortunately, this is just what it is. So I'm trying to help you to see you want to be more mindful of how you treat you. I'm not talking about your spa days and you're going out to the games and seeing and going to the bars, and not talking about that. I'm talking about how you care about you and your private thoughts. When you make errors and mistakes, how are you to you? Do you get nasty with yourself? Do you find yourself to be combative and say just evil things? If you're doing that, that's not good, first of all. And secondly, if you're doing that, if you come into a relationship with someone, you're going to find that you're a little bit judgy with them. And then they're going to be like, what's wrong with you? You're like, I'm just saying this and I'm saying that. And you're judgy. The judginess comes from how you judge yourself, not necessarily how you are judging the lover. But again, our inflow of how we treat ourselves, how we love ourselves, always outflows towards the person and the closest one to us, which is normally the love or the lovers we're dealing with. That is what happens. They get the brunt of the way we treat ourselves. So in order for us to think about that, we have to be mindful of it. And in order to be mindful of it, we got to sit inside our soul and have some quiet time, sit around and do some meditation and hear what you say to you in your private thoughts. Because when you really truly start to take a listen, you start realizing, oh, I don't say too good of things to myself. Where did that come from? Why am I always so combative? Why am I so impatient? Why am I always angry? Why am I always road raging? I'm one of those, by the way. Why am I always doing road rage? Why am I always having an attitude? Someone asks me something, I can't just be kind. I'm always in a rush, or I'm always just, very easily irritated. These are the things you want to pay attention to. Because again, no matter what relationship you're in, you're going with you. So I think the number one person you need to be studying and paying attention to is you. Because no matter what, your commitment on the planet with this person that you want to be with is the one you are, who you are to you. And we oftentimes are in seek to find our soulmate, our twin soul, our flames. We got all kinds of words for what we got to finally find. But the truth is, the real person that you want to be paying attention to is yourself. Because in the end, we will find out that, oh my goodness, I didn't realize how much I really need to be in a good relationship with myself. Yes, because when you are, you will find that you have more allure for the lover you're dealing with or lovers. And then you'll find out, okay, so in this, I'm actually able to digress, have patience, not be so agitated, easily irritated, easily offended. And I must say, when we are easily offended, it is no joke. We can take something way out the park and it's not what you think it is, but because we have our own understanding and we're coming from our own perception, we can get angry. And not only just angry, we start to find ourselves to be very, very intentional or very, very agitated because we don't hear it or we're only hearing it one way. So, again, I just wanted to share with you that on my Substack, I gave some details about how we can do better with this without getting so overwhelmed in love affairs. We want them, yes. We definitely want a good love affair. We want a couple of them, some of us, right? And that's fine, but we have to remember that in the want of a love affair, we also have to learn how to maintain them, how to continue having the same energy in them. Again, this is not easy. It sounds good, but it's not easy. It takes work. And the most important work is the one with you. And now, last but not least, please remember to subscribe to the channel. Like I said, this channel is to be a channel where I'm building it for solar lore. So how we are in relationships, how we're building our relationships, how we feel in relationships. Solar eclipse is to help how we are not only going through challenges or going through our moon phases in our love affairs, but how do we deal with challenges or in the phases of different levels of relationships? How do we deal with them? We're going to go through that. And then life be lifing. Life Be Lifin' is the episodes of the different characters that I have created to give you guys a way to see how important it is that if we treat each other as human, we will understand that no life is perfect. We all have stuff going on. We all have challenges. But can we be kind to one another? Can we, first of all, be kind to self? Because if we can do that, that's a huge step. And then don't forget, I also do energy body work. So I'm here to encourage you to see about my body work sessions. I do them, and you can find out about that. Again, body work is very important for the body. It actually, it does do some major healing for what you're trying to do as you are aging or in pain. Energy body work is one of the primary things you have to do for your health. And I also am a distributor of herbal blends. So I do eye readings. I can go here all night. There's a lot that I do. So please do not hesitate to reach out. My phone number is 844 5 Wisdom extension 0, or you can text the number and you can reach the Wisdom line. So the Wisdom line is the line that you actually text. I need some clarity is all you have to say. Just text that to that number, 844 594 7366. You can text that number and say, I need some clarity. And you will get a reply from the solar lore. And I will ask you a version of different questions and things of that nature. And then you'll be able to decide if you want to text back, if you want an audio back, or if you want a one-on-one back, or you just want to have a call back, whichever. To really sit back and realize how you can reduce the challenges that we have. Again, nothing is always easy, especially this life alone. We have our challenges. But if you get to the point where you're feeling like, I don't know what I want to do, I'm kind of on the fence about it. Listen, text the wisdom line. It's really simple. You text it, you text it gets you'll get the questionnaire, and then as soon as you get the questionnaire, you fill it out, and then you text it back to me. I'll get your email address, and then you'll get all the details to get either like I said, you can get an audio reply, you can get a text reply, you can get a call back, or you can get a video call. It doesn't matter, just so you can get some type of resolution. Because after a while, when we're going through challenges, we just really want to be, if we're not honest, we really just want to have some time to where we can have peace. I'm just saying. So I'm out of here, guys. If you need anything, don't hesitate to call. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And oh, also, please do not forget to watch this again in your private time and take notes. And I will be back on next week. So it is your coach, Carla Nicole. Have a great night.